Yeah, a bunch more.
Join Stephanie Johnson, founder of the Rebuilding Hollers Foundation, on Rebuilding Hollers, Come Hell or High Waters, a podcast that celebrates the unyielding spirit of Western North Carolina's recovery after Hurricane Helene. From the hollers of Yancey and Mitchell Counties, Stephanie brings you powerful stories of resilience, community, and hope as mountain families, volunteers, and local heroes rebuild homes, businesses, and lives. Each episode dives into the heart of this 501c3 nonprofit's mission, from delivering critical supplies to constructing new futures. Hear from neighbors, clearing paths, families overcoming loss, and the Appalachian grit that defies any storm. With Stephanie's heartfelt storytelling, Rebuilding Hollers, Come Hell or High Waters invites you to witness the power of unity and discover how you can support the journey. Tune in Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube to feel the mountains and join the mission. Come Hell or High Waters. Subscribe now and visit rebuildinghollers.org to get involved.
Love it.
Thank you.
Love it, love it, love it. That's awesome.
What happened?
So, I guess welcome back, everyone, until Chris gets back. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
It just dropped me like a hot rock, man. I was there, and all of a sudden I wasn't there.
Surprise, Shorty.
That's it. Well, anyways, yeah, here we are. Hey. And as you guys have already guessed, we've got a pretty cool guest on tonight. Our good friend Stephanie, Miss Mountain Fabulous herself. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I got something. We're going to talk about the name that shall not be mentioned.
I love talking about the names that shall not be mentioned.
Yeah, they doing something over here in Texas right now. So anyway, and we've got the illustrious Angery in the house tonight. He has graced us with his presence.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm a shit friend. I know.
Yeah, you're not. I'm just glad you're here, bro. I don't give a shit. And look at Sue down there. Sue's like, yep, pretty much, yep.
Glad to be here. Call it. I missed you guys. Him not so much.
Yeah,
but I do miss you guys.
We wanted to come up to Carl's for the 4th so bad, but we were here working, and as it turns out, I should have just went up there for the 4th of July. But
I tell you what, you missed it because you've been with us to one of our 4th of July shindigs.
Oh yeah.
And we get after it. Like when it gets lighting fuses time, we don't play games, right? Our record till today was 14 and a half minutes straight of fireworks on the 4th of July at Carl's house. 14 and a half minutes, but it's 14 and a half minutes of 4 SF guys. Each one has 4 tubes, lighting them as fast as we can. And then 2 SF guys, really 6, but it's 2, well, including Randy, are just ammo bearers, bringing ammo, right? Yeah,
just
shoving ammo to everybody. Right?
Oh, wow.
And so 14 and a half minutes of as fast as we can possibly light fuses. This week, we had so much crap. Again, 4 dudes lighting, ammo bearers, the whole thing. At 32 minutes,
oh my God,
Carl comes over and goes, "You know what, guys? Stop. Cut it out. We're going to the finale. We're done." It's 32 minutes straight.
Oh my God.
Holy
it was
cow.
Way overdone in true tactical rifleman fashion.
Yeah, right. Got him. Because I know, like Carl, every time I've come, he's like, "Just bring mortars." I'm like, "All right." I stopped and buy, like we bought like $750 worth of mortars one time. Yeah, just added it to the heaping mountain that was already there.
Yeah, we get a little stupid.
Everybody has their fingers. Everybody's good.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, that was going to be.
I'll tell you what.
question.
Everybody's got their fingers. I'm the only one, right? Leave it to the demo guy. Well, there were two of us, John Mon and myself. But yeah, I had one go up, and it blew up maybe 3 meters in the air, and blew up like the whole main charge or however those are built. And I took the rocket right here above the iPro.
Oh God!
So that was kind of a fun, yeah. But no injuries. We're good.
Good.
Yeah, didn't hit anything valuable, so we're all right.
It's good.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it hit him in the head. It couldn't hurt him.
It's not saying. I mean, I wasn't going to say that, but now that Sue said it, let's talk about that. No, I'm glad you didn't get hurt, dude. But yeah, we wanted to be there, but I thought I had to be here in Texas, and like I said, it turns out I should have just went to fucking Kentucky and watched fireworks. So
ain't nothing like Clantucky on 4th of July. That's right. I said it.
You said it.
Emory is the reason we have to have safety briefings.
Ain't that the truth? I love this place, though. You're not going to get me out of this place.
Oh, look, there's my London. She's in the peanut gallery over there. What's up, kiddo?
Chris, how far were you from Kerrville? You got quite the flood there on 4th of July.
Yeah,
you guys are in Tyler, right? You're quite a
we're
away.
in Tyler, so we're way up north, and east of where all that went down. So I mean, it didn't even rain here. Like, just to give you perspective, there's nothing happening here. But I was tracking it on Twitter and stuff and watching what was going on. It was crazy how fast that water rose. It
was immediate. It was just
yeah.
The same thing happened over there in New Mexico with the Ruidoso.
Yeah,
it was insane. I watched video on that this morning.
Yeah,
how exactly are they? How does this keep happening with the water just like that overnight? Surely we're used to rain.
Well,
but sometimes
Ruidoso, New Mexico is not far from where I'm from. I was there just after the 4th last year. Carl's fireworks were canceled last year, so I was out west last year, and they had a flood almost to the day, exactly like that last year. And it's because they had so many forest fires. There's no vegetation up there. Nothing slows down the water. So, Ruidoso got hit pretty hard again, on the same day, and 2 years in a row consecutively now. So
wow.
That's kind of
it rains just enough in the right section of the land, in the right time frame. You get these flash floods, and I don't know how many flash floods people have gotten to see in their lives. Like our viewers, for example. I don't know how many of you guys have gotten to be in a flash flood. I've been in a couple, and by design, we were supposed to be there. We knew we were, that's what we were going to go check out. In Israel, you get a big storm, and you got a few hours to get to certain spots down south in the desert to see these. Well, watching these things happen, man, the videos they showed of Texas were crazy. Rising 28 feet in, an hour or two. That's crazy. Seeing it in person, because, it looks like a kind of a slow process on the video. You see it in person and you understand that even that first little wave past, just a muddy bit that's coming down, it's taking you. And that's just, nature's got some power, and people tend to, and we have deaths every year in the flash floods, just, tourist deaths. And you really have to run to the high spots. And that's not easy to do, because when you go see these things, typically it's not a nice wide valley where you can just run 90 degrees to, to the source of water.
Right.
But I recommend everybody look into some of that, because they do happen, especially in, arid places, of course. So, it's not just the hurricanes in North Carolina. Yeah. The deserts have their own.
North Carolina.
In the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah, what we experienced up here, what Stephen and I experienced up here, was not only the flash flooding, because we have several mountains, we have several rivers that can't take that kind of entire sides of mountains were washing away. Plus, we had the wind. Trees were coming down, being uprooted and thrown around. Like I said, I went to Hendersonville, which is just south of Asheville,
within 2 days afterwards, and it looked like all the electrical lines looked like, God had taken and wrapped it up like spaghetti on a fork and then stuck it back there. Everything was just twisted, and I've never, because the time of year that it came through in October, all the leaves, late September, October, all the leaves were still on the trees. They caught the wind and they twisted hardwood trees, actually twisted them and broke them at the base. The trunks got twisted off and broken. Wow. I've never seen anything like that.
And it's not just like, and it shattered the hearts of them. So like I've had some of my projects have been cutting up trees, and you're used to seeing a log and a good normal cut. They cut it and it is just shattered. Like the whole tree just twisted. It's insane what happened here. And then the landslides, that's been a huge thing. In just Yancey County, we had 200 landslides, and some of them as big as like 3,000 feet, gashes down the mountain.
Wow.
So you can't recover from that. You can't ever stop it either, right? Anything down below it forever will be altered.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I would take the dangers of living in the mountains, even with things like that, any day over living under the sea level.
Yeah, no, I still will never leave here.
I don't live below sea level. I don't live below sea level. I live 90 feet above it. Thank you very much.
Holland, New Orleans. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. I listed a bug out property. Like it's like 50 acres. I'm like, I still would bug out here. I'm not leaving. This is still the greatest place on earth, because not every place got totally damaged. Not everything is destroyed, but a lot of But yeah.
Well, Stephanie, I hope down there in Texas, in Kerrville, at least they have a little bit more luck or with the recovery efforts. Just to fill you in, I think it was a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, I had a guy pull up in my driveway, brand new Dodge diesel, beautiful bed on the truck, and it was a private company, and they were going to dredge Barker's Creek. And I was like, why you guys? He goes, oh, we're getting money from the state for Hurricane Helene. And I was like, you're about 40 miles out of the affected area. I said, you need to go over to Mitchell County. You need to go over to, we're in Jackson County. I said, there's a creek in my backyard. He goes, yeah, I want to talk to you about that. We need a place we're going to dredge the creek and take all the wood out of it and everything. And I was like, you're in the wrong place. That's back east. You're in the wrong. But he was a private company, and he said, well, the way it works is the counties go up there and they grab the money and they start divvying it out to their families. Up here, if you're on a county commission, of course, you got cousins and uncles and stuff that have the companies, and those guys get the money. So that's what we're dealing with in Western North Carolina. Is just it's not the federal level. I don't want to beat up FEMA too much, even though they were horrible. Stephanie and I both experienced them. Yeah, I'll let Stephanie beat them up. It was horrible the way they acted. But there have been some monies down to the state, but now counties are just as anybody in a Democratic Party at the federal level. So I feel sorry for anybody that actually has some personal property and needs some kind of help getting stuff fixed up.
It's suspicious for me. I'm like, what is going on? You don't want to, these are my neighbors. I'm doing what I'm doing because I care, and it's my neighbors. And you would think that the people in elected positions would not, be corrupt or try to make, do this or that. But, this has been a very difficult process to watch, even as far as our long-term recovery group is a total crap show right now, and has been the whole time. And they want certain people on it. They don't want certain people on it. It's very frustrating to be an advocate for a community that desperately needs one. And you can't get them help, even though they say it's coming or they say it's here. Well, where is it? Where's the money?
But it's back when I was doing acquisitions for the military. They got we used to call it their favorite vendors. They go even, you say, hey, here's what we need. Here's what it needs to look like and everything. And they're like, and oh, by the way, this small startup company right here, these guys make the best product. This is what we want.
Right.
So they go to their favorite vendors, take a picture of it, take their favorite vendors and say, hey, make something like this and we'll give you $10 million. So,
that's insane. That's it. And I don't mind them using their favorite vendors, but if their favorite vendor's $5,000 a day and Joe down the street is $2,500 a day and he's local, then Joe should have the job because he needs the work. Yeah. But no, it's going, all the state contractors are, it's really been, and not just that, let me tell y'all. So they have people cleaning the rivers. They have people doing all the things, but then they have watchers. Each piece of equipment, each excavator, each articulated dump truck has 2 watchers watching and measuring everything that they haul away, haul out of the river, doing all this stuff. The money that's being wasted is exceptional. It has to be. They're cleaning dirt in our county. They're cleaning the dirt. They're cleaning the dirt. They're loading the dirt up and hauling it to Canton to clean it and bring it back. I mean, to me, I would just say, okay, if you're going to clean that dirt, well, we have so much dirt to clean. Get the equipment that cleans the dirt, bring it here, and we'll clean all the dirt. No, let's haul it an hour away. I mean, it's like,
how do you clean the dirt to start with? Like, I want to know what the process is.
Yeah,
how do you wash it off?
Those
like,
words.
When do you stop?
Right?
At what point do you stop?
Cleaning the dirt. Government efficiency.
Yeah.
It's horrific.
Cleaning the dirt.
Military intelligence.
I mean, I'm so frustrated. I am. That's what I said. Y'all want to talk about it? I'll talk about it. I'm so frustrated.
Yeah, Stephanie, tell us. I want to hear, tell us about what, when this storm hit or after it hit, I guess, about, what you've been doing, what your whole deal. I'd like to know a little bit of history. I don't really know where you got started up,
For rebuilding. You cut out a little bit on me on that. So I just live here, and I was a local realtor, a prepper realtor. So prepper, survivalist, off grid has been my jam. I just love land, and my preppers love land. I love guns. They love guns. We just get along. And we've been friends with Steph for years. Steph's been a dear friend of ours for years too. So
I'm buying my next house from you.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
But
So that's how we're gonna think of all the things while we're making the process.
Steph.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah. Yep.
So
what Angery meant to say was he's buying his first house from you. He lives in a refrigerator box. Is what he does.
Sue, I hate you, and for everybody else, just so you know, he's not wrong.
That's okay. You've been sacrificing for the government the whole time.
Sure.
Yeah. So we, when we came out of the holler after the storm, it took us 3 days to cut our way out. And when we got to town, this is day 4 after the storm, there was nobody there, no cell service, no internet, no help. And so I was like, well, let's start handing out food. So we started handing out food. Okay. Seems to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Going in and out.
Yep. No,
we
good.
hear you fine.
I just heard something else.
You hear me? You hear me? It just seems to be going in and out.
You're good.
So anyway, I just started handing out food and supplies. And then it just kept evolving. So people I've sold homes to, my friends, my neighbors, they're coming in the parking lot just devastated, still covered in mud. Because we had no internet, no power, you couldn't use credit cards. It was very apocalyptic, cash only. And so for over 31 days, we were the biggest supply hub in Yancey and Mitchell County, making sure people could, once they come out of the holler and the hell they had to go through to get out of it, we had supplies for them.
Wow.
And then on November 2nd, building materials arrived. And so my background being construction, I was like, oh God, you want me to get into building materials? Because I ran from construction, because you have to be pretty tough to be in that industry. Anyway, 4 hours later, 100 doors showed up. And so that's how Rebuilding Hollers was born. I was like, okay, people need building materials. And I just kept getting them. God kept sending them. I kept getting them and handing them out. Yeah. And now we have 521 projects that we're trying to get homes. We have 54 full rebuilds, 4 of them going right now. And we're just doing whatever it takes to get people home.
So you're a 501c, so that means that you're working off of donations and that kind of thing, right?
And T-shirts and hoodies. We sell T-shirts.
There we go. There we go. So where can people go to help out?
Rebuilding
Once
Hollers.
You're unfrozen.
Rebuildinghollers.org. We're raising dollars to rebuild hollers.
Yeah, and these building materials are not cheap. It's where I just went and bought some angle iron steel today at $9 a foot, for God's sakes. 500. I mean, it's crazy, but most of this private property, I mean, there's been some government help for, the roads and things like that for the communities. Yeah, but private property, most of these guys have a creek or two to get across to their house, to their personal house, right? All those small bridges are gone. They're all gone.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about, I bought 4x4 angle iron at $9 a foot. When you're talking about steel I-beams, what's going to Stephanie doesn't last very long when it's, an I-beam is like $12 and $24 a linear foot to replace a bridge. It goes really fast. These building materials are expensive.
And I mean, I tell you, Steph has her podcast that she does on Friday nights, and the guests that she's had on thus far, their stories are at number one, heartbreaking at times, but also inspiring. These folks up there around Steph, they're doing all this on their own. A lot of them, contractors that are contractors, brick masons, they're working to help build their rebuild other people's properties while they still don't have homes. And that community up there is just so strong.
It's been incredible. I'm so proud of my community. I'm so proud to be a part of it. I'm so proud to fight like hell for them because it has been so hard. FEMA is a complete disaster. Okay, let me tell you about that. They are. If you ever think that the government is coming to save you or help you at any level, you are wrong. That's number one. You're wrong. And then as far as insurance, that's a whole nother disaster. It's a whole nother disaster. And then the big guys, it's their way. They want to dictate how you build back, or they only want you to have, say if you had a really nice home, well, they're not going to rebuild you a really nice home. They're going to rebuild you a basic home, and a basic home with basic cabinets and basic floors. Like historical homes, they're either tearing them down that could be fixed or rebuilding them with junk, which isn't fair because people have worked their whole lives to have nice stuff. And then it's just gone. Insurance won't pay. FEMA gives them $42,500, when bridges cost $300,000. I mean, it is so bad. I've been so disappointed. I'm disappointed in everybody. Now, I have been told, so recently I was bragging on Michelle. She's amazing. And she's been helping me raise money. And I was bragging on her, my husband. He goes, well, honey, you set high expectations. And I thought, how do you know you're abusing your husband without knowing you're abusing your husband? So I set high expectations, but I'm disappointed. I'm telling you what, I am so disappointed at a state, federal, and county level of how this has been dealt with. And I've heard very disturbing things.
Yeah, there was a congressional hearing. They brought in all these insurance companies that are refusing to pay, not only here in Western North Carolina, but in the fires out in LA too. And I'm sure that around Kerrville they'll experience this too. But I think don't quote me on this, but I think it was one of the chief executives of State Farm Insurance, which a lot of people around here have, right? Well, none of these homeowners are getting the actual value of their houses replaced through their policies, but the State Farm insurance agent makes $32 million a year, and he got a $16 million bonus. How does that happen when we had so many natural disasters last year? How does these insurance companies pay their executives $16 million bonuses?
Because he's based on the
county
percentage
gets
of claims he can
bonuses.
deny.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's getting a cut of the money he saves the insurance company by denying claims. That's how he's getting that money.
I don't care. Nothing helps. Money corrupts. Period. End of story.
Yes.
Money corrupts. Even if it's passing by you, people can't resist. I got to have some of that pot.
I use a little corruption.
Well, and they make so much money.
A little bit of corruption.
Chris, you and I are from we're from the boomer generation, and when I was in high school,
The fuck I am.
Oh, okay.
No, that's yeah.
Maybe it's just Russ and I. We're from the
no. I'm not. I'm close. You're the only boomer, brother.
Wait, Sue. What I need to understand, Sue, did you fight for the North or the South?
What year model are you exactly,
My
Sue?
point is
The year model.
And when I went to high school, and even in my early 20s, you did not have to have car insurance. And then they started making a state, or the federal government forced all the states to have car insurance. And now the EPA insurance has got to where it's regulated. It's not a law,
right, but
it's regulated to where the states aren't going to get federal monies for their highway if they don't make it a law in the state amendment, the 10th Amendment. Now you have to have it, at least liability insurance to own a car. Well, that's an added expense. And then when you go buy a house, now all these loan organizations, everything, well, you got to get insurance for this house. Well, you got to get insurance for this. You got to get insurance for that. It doesn't make sense to me if everybody's paying all this money into the insurance agencies. I thought insurance was like, okay, we're helping out people that are in dire need.
Insurance is the biggest racket in the history of humankind.
That's my point. It should be called the mafia, only it's legal. They call it insurance.
Yes. And flood insurance is underwritten by FEMA.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And insurance companies exist to collect premiums, not to pay claims.
Yes.
That's just a fact.
Yeah.
So
no. I was told that right away.
Claim,
Steph, don't panic on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They're not there to pay a claim. They're there to collect premiums.
Yeah. I'm going to pay cash for my property, and I will not have a stitch of insurance on it. I won't. I mean, it's just, and look, the only people that have gotten money are people who had a tree fall on their house. That's who's gotten money.
Yep.
Yeah, where they can't deny it anymore.
That's it.
Yep. A tree literally went through my living room. Short of that, you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, the house can be totally wiped away, but as long as a tree hits it, you'll get paid.
Yeah, the house is fine. It's just changed location. The house has been gentrified.
Because one of your guests mentioned that, Steph, and about the insurance and everything, and the fact that people were getting claims paid if they had a tree fallen on them, but houses that had been destroyed by just water and stuff like that weren't getting covered, or mudslide wasn't getting covered.
Nothing.
Ridiculous.
They get nothing. And it's underwritten by FEMA. Like, there's two underwriters for flood insurance, FEMA and Lloyd's of London. It's horrible. It's horrible. And they force it on
Lloyd's of London.
You have to pay it.
I could, because I have a creek in my backyard, which did not overflow, by the way. It came close, but because I have a creek in my backyard, I have to pay an extra, I think it's $100 a month or $180 a month for flood insurance.
Yeah, but if you need it, you're not going to get it. Just so you know.
Oh yeah, if my house would have flooded, I know I wasn't getting any of that money back.
Just go cut the tree down. It's gross. It's so bad. It is so. I'm telling y'all, like, I'm so disgusted.
Just go cut a tree down.
All the things. Yeah. Drop that tree.
Well, you'd be in a position to know. You dropped that tree. I mean, you've been dealing with the bureaucracy of never-ending bureaucrats that stand in the way of, simple things getting done.
Progress.
Simple things getting done.
And even in the nonprofit world. Yeah. I've never been in a nonprofit before, but I had to do this. And I'm disgusted. Like, the Red Cross makes it nearly impossible. They have millions and millions of dollars to give away, but you have to chase every carrot and jump through all these insane hoops to get that money to help your community. They make it nearly impossible.
Well, there's a problem because now, I mean, bringing up the Red Cross, we can't help but get into politics, right? Because
I don't know.
Yeah, Red Cross is politics, right? Not to bring the war into this, right? But like, have you heard about the Red Cross in the Middle East? Because they are literally a terrorist organization helping the terrorists, right? And not doing their job. And Sue and I, in our little group of idiots, got screwed by another by a 501c this year. And there's a lot of bad actors around, trying to profit off of all of these things, whether it's political profit or cash.
Yes. I also learned that a nonprofit only has to give 3% of what they bring in. That's it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That federal law is 3%.
That's how they pay themselves those 6-figure salaries for running their nonprofits.
That's insane. That's insane. That's corruption at every level.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
well, you look at who wrote the bills where that kind of shit gets passed, and then you look at what their families and all do. They all work for NGOs and that sort of thing. And since that's how you get legislation like that, that's how you get limits like that.
Everybody takes a little bit.
Follow the money.
It's a family business. Everybody dips their beak, I mean,
how do you think Hillary Clinton claims that when she was the first lady, they left the White House, her and Bill left the White House broke. And after they established the Clinton Foundation, now they're multi-millionaires, billionaires.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I mean, I just never thought of it.
So, Stephanie, I'm curious. So what is your read on the situation now in the area? Like, how much do you think is still needed in terms of like a big push for help in the area right now?
It is significant. We are still very much, although we're 9, almost 10 months into this, of my 518 projects, we've got 4 home. 4
like built and done, you mean?
Yeah, 4 people that went from living in an RV to home.
Wow.
There's still over 300 of my community members living in RVs with no running water. I mean, it is so bad for so many. And let me tell you about the state of North Carolina. They had 1,000 single wide trailers to hand out. As of a couple of weeks ago, they've gotten out 6. And not one has been in Yancey County. And Yancey County is the most devastated of the storm. We had over 7,000 structures damaged or destroyed. And not one of those trailers has hit the
Why
ground.
are they claiming they're like, what's the holdup? They're just being government.
The governor's working on it. It's
Don't
all
worry about
politics.
it, little
It
people. We're taking care of you.
It's called the fourth layer. It's called the fourth branch of government. It's called bureaucracy, the deep state. And it's not. Everybody thinks that Trump is going to fix everything in the next 3 years. I don't think that the Republican Party or the Trump administration understands how rotten and how deep the deep state is, and they're rotten to the core. It goes all the way into the county and the community level.
Well, when I met General Mike Flynn back in November, and he said to me, he looked me dead in the eye, and he said, local politicians will be arrested for what they have done to you and to your community. And that blew my mind. I was not, I thought, not my local politicians, I know these guys. These are my friends. I've known them for years. Blew my mind. But the way things that we've been recovering, the way that we've not been recovering, it makes me very suspicious. Now, I will say the DOT has been on it. Our roads are doing great. We lost so many roads and just were impassable. So you can get most every places now We finally have temporary railroad bridges in place. That kind of progress is being made. But as far as the people, the neighbors, my neighbors, they're in huge trouble. There's so many are living in RVs. So many, their wells are busted. We've got people covered in these crazy skin rashes that nobody knows what's going on. We've got our water is, there's all this crazy bacteria. People are getting sick. I mean, it is unbelievable how we are still very much in a war zone here when you go back into the different hollers.
Wow.
That's insane.
It's pretty bad. It's really bad. But they're working through. There is a local construction company that is cleaning some of the waterways. They're working through it. So the roads are getting rebuilt and the water's getting cleaned up. But like with that guy dredging your creek, well, we need him up here dredging ours because we have major problems. If we have a small amount of rain, entire places are going to flood out again.
Exactly.
Like we desperately.
Exactly. They're over here. They're over here on the tributaries to the Tuckasegee. The Tuckasegee didn't overflow its banks in very many places in Jackson. Yeah. I don't know what they're doing over there.
I mean, we need those guys. We need them up here working.
Like, hey, you need to go to Yancey. You need to go to Madison County. You need to go to Mitchell County. You need to go up there. Yeah. I mean, they were saying around Chimney Rock and Lake Lure, dancing and Latin Mohicans. A lot of our viewers will understand.
That's awful what happened there.
Yeah, they don't plan to reopen for tourism until 2027, the summer of 2027.
Wow. So,
it's all gone.
Yeah, that's how devastated those towns are.
So the way it worked, the storm got stuck on Mount Mitchell.
I-40 still is not fixed, and that's one of the reasons I didn't go to Carl's fireworks display. That usually I'm there with Emery, and I'm one of the guys operating the mortars, and I'm yelling, "Hey, more ammo open, let's go!" But
is that why you're pouty?
Yeah, I'm pouty.
You didn't get your.
But I-40, we had a little bit of rain before the 4th of July, and I-40, a major interstate, got closed down again. Another mudslide because of all the damage and everything. But it was,
by the way,
on again.
That's proof right there that sometimes good things happen, because that was my excuse to not have to drive to your house.
Fortuitous circumstances.
Well, and we're keeping an eye on I-40 because we won't be coming home that way. We're going to go up and above, take 81 down into Fallout in October. I'm just not even going to try to mess with I-40.
Yes.
It wasn't bad coming up. There was construction, but it was,
By the way, that's not the worst part of I-40, guys. If you have to drive through the North Carolina part of I-40, including storms and getting washed into the river and all those, the worst part is going through until you get to Little Rock in Arkansas. That's Sue and I have to deal with that. That is the bane of our existence. I'd rather be naked in Gaza and naked and alone in Gaza than in my own vehicle on I-40 driving through Arkansas. I'm just saying.
Well,
been there, done that.
They just found a big lithium mine there, so it's on the list next for the big storm.
Even better
for the next big storm on deck.
Yeah. Well, Chris, you mentioned something that piqued my interest before the storm. You mentioned they who should not be named. I want to get Stephanie spun up tonight. So,
we ain't gonna name them, but they're assisting down in Kerrville, Texas.
They made a post. Really? They made a really fun Facebook post that said, "Even if you have deployed with us before, do not self-deploy."
Yeah,
I've
got some pretty disturbing documents on them recently.
Am I the only one who has no idea what's going on here? Okay, good.
Yep, you are.
Just checking.
Okay, Chris, put the name in our private chat so Emery knows what we're talking about.
I'll type it for him. Chris ain't gonna be typing.
Damn, I got to read again.
Yeah. So you did, Emery? Do you remember seeing the video footage of the the helicopter and
The Roto Wash.
Rose's parking lot up in the Roto Wash in Western
No,
North
I don't
Carolina?
think I've seen that.
He was.
Okay, well, that was Steph. That happened to Stephanie. That was her stuff that got blown all
From
over
a,
the
from
place
a bird?
by
in the
Yeah.
parking lot. There's a big group.
No.
Emery
They're
was
big
Emery
known-
was he was busy crossing another border at that time. He wasn't in the country there, so he missed
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
So it was like a war zone here, and that we found another very corrupt 501c3 came in here with their guns and their total liquored
I
up.
did hear about
I mean,
that.
just corrupt.
Chasing all the local women. Yeah.
That's what they posted online, but I mean, they were pretty easy. They weren't as tough as they pretended. But we ran them out. And the next day we got roto washed by a Black Hawk that the National Guard took responsibility for. Although one of my friends that's in the National Guard said, why did they take responsibility for that? We don't even have Black Hawks. We have Gray Hawk or
Paper
Gray
airplanes.
whatever.
Yeah, that was disinformation. There was no markings on that Black Hawk. We know who it was.
None. And you can see
Yeah.
the video. Anybody that
Exactly.
watches the
Every-
video is like, that was so.
Russ and I will tell you, every
Yeah.
military
I'll
aircraft
make
has,
sure you-
has markings. They have a tail number, and everybody knows who they are.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
And Emery, I'll send you a link to it.
I'm just, this
later.
is so.
when you
To
see
the
the little
video.
girl running through it, that was my kid.
Really?
I mean, it was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Wow.
It was brutal. But Chris helped me, Julie and Julie Dorn, she helped me because I called them and I said, who is this? Because I thought because of where they're from, everybody's like, oh, they're good guys. They help. They do all these great things. So when they first got here, I thought that was a good thing. And then it took about 24 hours to realize they were as corrupt as, I mean, that was my first interaction with pure corruption.
Was it corruption or was it just idiots on the ground, you know? Just
All of the above.
Yes, yeah, all idiots, but all ulterior
Straight up.
motives. Maybe we should call it that.
Well, I was in the same situation, and luckily I was over in Jackson County on the western side of Jackson County, so our damage was minimal compared to Mitchell, Yancey, and Humboldt County. But we were running supplies all the way over there, and like Stephanie said, it was cash only. I mean, luckily the wife and I were saving up to go on that cruise that we never went on. So we had a lot of volunteers, great people show up, out of Fort Bragg, and they were helping us run materials and stuff. But then we'd come back and we get stuck in traffic, because this 74 where I'm at was about the only way in. And they were coming out of Chattanooga. I-40 was closed down, of course, but they were coming through Chattanooga and over 74, and we got behind some traffic, and it was the Los Angeles Swift Boat Rescue Team on day 11. Okay, you got to understand, all the fast waters stopped moving by then, right?
Yeah,
Y'all don't get me started on these search and
They
rescue
came
teams.
all the way
SAR,
from Los Angeles, and they went straight to the casino and hang out there for 5 days so they could drive all the way back to Los Angeles and bill FEMA for the money. I guarantee you that's in the big beautiful bill. They're getting their money back on showing up here in Western North Carolina from Los Angeles. I guarantee it.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
It's
part of
so
the corruption I saw.
Yeah.
But like Stephanie,
Well,
I
I mean,
got a
here
whole list
we
of
had-
stuff that is corrupt.
We got a whole list. The search and rescue and that organization, because they came in with guns and they were very militant. I call them military rejects. I hope that doesn't offend y'all, but I don't think our military would ever accept people like that. They were that nasty and corrupt. They were, word has been later that they were going into properties after they had been, the home was flooded. The owners had left. They were going in there and taking things out.
Don't name them. Don't name them.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying what happened.
What happened was
What had happened was
No, look, I mean,
they came in here. They bullied my neighbors. They acted like they were policing all this stuff. Then they acted like they were search and rescue. literally with these dogs, Kate, and none of them even had certificates. It was crazy. It was literally crazy here. And our government never showed up to help us.
No, they did not.
All right. Well, look.
So I feel really bad for Texas. I'm totally stressed out.
This may not be the
Texas,
place to air dirty laundry like that name, but and I agree with us not doing that here. But from what I'm hearing, I mean, I've heard whispers of this, but nothing like what you're describing. I mean, this really needs to be, put out there publicly in a huge way.
Oh, well, it was.
Right? Because this cannot happen again. We're going to have more natural disasters in our country. It's going to happen. That's how the world happens. More shit's going to happen. We have to make sure that, dipshits like this don't, keep coming places.
Yeah, they got to be kept out. I've heard they're under federal investigation.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then the government's doing something. Hopefully.
Yeah, it'll be like that Epstein list.
What Epstein list?
Yeah, there's no list.
Exactly.
There's no list.
Yeah.
No.
Now, Sue, you I don't know if Chris is frozen or not, but Sue, you mentioned the swift boats from LA. I saw something on X yesterday or early this morning about the swift boats down near Kerr County down in Texas that were held back for 2 days, even though they knew the water was coming. And they were held back by the local government. And they went in, after the fact. And I just can't believe stuff like that.
I'm telling you, for us, it was the locals. Local mountain folk, the moment the rain stopped, people were out with chainsaws. They were out with their tractors. Now, not my neighbor, Mr. Clean Tractor, because he wasn't going to get his tractor ready. But my awesome neighbor down the street, he came up and helped us get out. Mountain folk dug and cut their way out and had roads rebuilt very early on, or at least where people could get to stuff.
That's all I did for 3 days. I had Jacob Hickox. You met him from my cousin or my cousin's boy from Texas. He's an insurance adjuster for USAA. He got up here pretty quick, and for the first 3 days, that's all we did was drive around with chainsaws and just clear roads with tow straps and an F-250, and we burned up a lot of mix in those chainsaws, sharpening chainsaws.
Yes.
So
it's the locals, and then all of America, right? So the locals got our way out, and then all of America brought us what we needed. That was the most magical thing. Even though these corrupt organizations were in here trying to take advantage of us, God wasn't letting them do that. It was pretty incredible how everything really has happened. With neighbors taking care of neighbors.
You know what pisses me off about this on two different levels is the fact that these stories right here and this happening makes Chris's books nonfiction. And that sucks.
They're not fiction. I'm telling you, Hortz is up next.
Yeah, right.
Hortz is up next. I'm telling you, I live the apocalypse right here in Western North Carolina, and people don't have any idea. People don't know how bad it can be just like that.
yeah, being the only boomer on here, I used to think that a lot. What would happen if society just broke down? And then I started reading this going home book, and I was like, hey, there's somebody else that thinks like me. Yeah, this could really happen. Everything is just going to collapse. So,
Chris, I'm pretty sure he just called you dumb. I'm just saying.
I'm thinking in his own way. He did. I don't think so.
But what if Chris was given a vision so that he could prepare people and get people working together and understanding? If I hadn't known what I knew from being Chris's friend and Franklin's friend and, learning things, I would have trusted the government. I would have sat at home and waited on the government to come save me too.
yeah, and that's why I'm glad we all.
And how would that have worked out for you, Steph? How would that
I
have
don't
worked out
trust
for
the
you?
government, so I didn't wait.
And we all come from the same. Now that we've all experienced it and everything, we come from the same cut of cloth. Maybe we need to put out the message to all these people that haven't experienced and say, hey, yeah, instead of giving all that money to these insurance companies and paying that flood insurance and doing all this, maybe you ought to invest in chainsaws and generators and things that you're going to need when they're not there to help. Yeah.
When it happens to you.
I've been trying to get people to prep so hard. I give out boxes. Like, I'm constantly trying to get people to prepare better because so many people, I mean, we had one family that was trapped for 36 days.
Wow.
And there was another family that didn't even get power for like 4.5 months.
Wow.
There's still families that actually don't have power, actually, to be honest with you. We've got one project, they're pitiful, and they still don't have power.
Well, the one lesson I learned, and I was lucky. Again, I didn't get a lot of damage and everything, but I'm like you, Stephanie. I do a lot of prepping, and I have a lot of stuff. The one lesson I learned out of watching all the victims of 26 different counties get wiped out, the one lesson I learned is don't keep all your stuff in one place, because that might be the place where the flood comes or that mountain slides down on you. Try to separate it.
I can vouch for that too, or it might all burn and look in place. Yeah.
Yes.
So, spread it around.
Ask it for a friend.
It's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real hard one.
Yes. There's been a lot of lessons to be learned in this. And more than anything, I feel so bad for Texas, New Mexico. I just want to call them and be like, don't let in the you-know-who.
Well, let me ask you this, Stephanie. So this may be
Too
kind
late.
of an impossible
Too late.
question,
Too late.
but you've been dealing with the aftermath of all of this. Do you have any thoughts on preventative measures that we can take? Obviously, we've been talking about, prep yourself, but I mean, in kind of a bigger picture way, right? How do we prep our communities outside of, gathering food, supplies, tools for the worst case?
Yeah. So definitely all of you, all of our neighbors need to have some type of, at least 72-hour preparedness. But also each county should have a long-term recovery group that isn't doing it, to siphon money, but doing it to be in place. So once a disaster hits, boom, each county has their own response
Locals
team.
that care.
Because locals that care, because here the Red Cross has emergency plans and county employees volunteer and go man these centers. But none of those centers, they didn't even have food. They just showed up and opened the doors to elementary schools. After the storm, they had to break into the cafeteria to feed people because they weren't ready. Nobody was ready for what was going to happen. So I think that people need to, every county in every state should have a plan in place for what they're going to do, how they're going to respond, and who to keep out.
Yeah. That's a big one.
There lies the issue.
I'm telling y'all, the con artistry and the scammers, I still have them. They're still here. They're still here scamming on my community. They're still here, doing, it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad.
Some of the stories of that stuff was pretty rough.
It wouldn't be hard to do because they've already done it during the Cold War. We had all these bomb shelters. We had food storage. We had National Guard armories, where people had weapons and tools and things like that. And most of the National Guard armories weren't full of machine guns and everything. They had heavy equipment, bulldozers and little pickup trucks and stuff, or little dump trucks and things like that for exactly that, natural disasters. So,
right. Well, the 1454s down in Concord, it's a transportation National Guard. And do you know it had bridges sitting on its lot the whole time? Not one did they bring a bridge up here? Not one.
But there was a lot of National Guard kids that showed up, and they were working their butts off trying to get some of them roads open and everything right there. In Yancey,
not here.
Well, again, but you're talking about two separate things, right? You're talking about the National Guard kids show up and they work their asses off because that's what soldiers do versus some GS worker somewhere else, like, no, we're not giving away those bridges. I paid for those with not my money.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what it was. Our National Guard, my friend, when I called him, he trained search and rescue for the National Guard. I said, where are you? He said, Steph, we're on stand down orders. They won't deploy us. The only way that the military could get here into Yancey County was to go on a training mission.
Yeah, well, a lot of the guys from my house were
training.
active duty military, and they had to take pass or leave to come here to help out. Even people with relatives up here had to take leave or passes, to come up here and help. That part's true, and the part that really kind of gets me is we had a lot of supplies being provided from all the other counties and states and things like that. And we set up huge distribution centers, but then the counties came in and said, no, you can only, I was right at the cusp of Mitchell and Yancey County. And I think I was helping some people over in Mitchell County. Well, I ran over to one of these distribution centers at a big lumber yard. And I said, hey, these guys up here on the mountain, they need some propane heaters and some generators. They don't have any, and it's getting cold. We're talking 6 weeks, 8 weeks after the actual event. And it was starting to get cold. And I said, hey, can we grab some of these generators and take them up there? And they're like, oh no, they're only for people in this county. I mean,
we had
donated goods were confiscated by the counties. Yeah.
Our county has been good. Yancey and Mitchell County has been good. But what happened was the fire departments, like if you were in one fire district, you couldn't go to the other fire department and another district and get help. You could only go to your fire department and get help.
True. I saw a lot of that.
If they gave you a generator, they wanted you to bring it back. Like, what are they going to do with hundreds of generators that were donated?
Yeah, and that's just it. Those generators sitting in there, and those indoor heaters, they were donated. They didn't belong to those fire departments.
Give them away. Exactly. Give them away. It has blown my mind how many people, they take it like it's their own stuff. And me, I get so excited to give it away. I tell people, don't you bring it to me and expect it to be here when you come back, because I'm giving it away. Yeah. There's people that need stuff, and they still need it. They still need building materials. They still need.
And I had exactly that. And most of the people were out of Charlotte, but there was 25 Starlink systems donated. Actually, there was 100, and they all ended up at my house for some reason. And I had given away 25 of them, and then I was up to 40, where somebody came in and said, hey, stop what you're doing. We didn't mean for those people to get them. And I was like, what do you mean those people? Everyone I've given them to have needed them. And they're like,
right.
And then they called me back a week later, and I said, hey, can you go back and get those back? And I'm like, no, I'm not getting them back. I'm not doing them.
I'm glad you brought that up. The same organization we've been talking about, people are giving them RVs. They're taking them back south and kicking people out of them. They're not staying in Western North Carolina. If people are already in them, they're actively going to get them and take them down south. Or as soon as they come in, boom, we're taking them down. They weren't even putting people in them.
Absolutely ridiculous, guys. Yeah, Emery, you were gone when we had Steph on last time, and when a lot of this stuff was happening, you were back and forth. I can see you sitting there shaking your head. It's mind blowing. The stuff. And if you get a chance to go back and listen to some of Steph's podcasts that she has out, it'll give you an even bigger appreciation.
Here's what's pissing me off. Here's what's pissing me off is, not to bring this, obviously, I mean, everybody who's watching, who's seen me before knows where my brain's at, but, I'm killing bad guys. See, Sue, I'm getting better. But what really killed me about this whole war, and this is connected, I promise, in Israel, though, is right after the war, the first few months, you saw the entire country come together. I'm talking about the people. Right? Nobody cares about the government. Government people are not human. Anywhere, right?
Is that your professional opinion? Because I believe that's the case.
And I'll stick to it.
How can they be so corrupt?
But my point is about the people, right? Not about governments. We all know not to trust governments, period, right? But this rift reoccurred in Israeli society. And I believe that that's the one thing holding us back from actually ending this war, right? The rift in our people, in our society, is why this war started. And that rift in our people is why we're not properly finishing it. I believe that at the base of everything. So when I went over, as soon as I could walk, blah, 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 because I got injured in the beginning of the war, went over when I was back in walking shape, got back here. My entire time there, outside of, mind being blank when I'm actually hunting terrorists when we're off, my thought is, man, this big rift back home in America, this is horrible. And when something like this happens, right, and I see it in Israel, because unfortunately in Israel we have horrible events every day, less so storms and stuff. It usually has to do with terrorism, but when something bad happens, it brings people together and everybody's there to help, and everybody's just there to bring stuff back to normal. And so when we have stuff like this here at home, and it's not a war, right, it's a natural event, it's a natural disaster, you can't blame anybody for it happening. But then everything afterwards that happens that's horrible like this is all people. And I'm setting aside the FEMA and the government and all that. I'm talking about like these ass clowns that showed up, thinking that they're Blackwater over there. Yes. Guys, this is us. We can't do it. You understand that regardless of what the event is, if we Americans show up to do shitty things, we are every bit as bad as the terrorists and the people that want us gone. And we can't have this happen.
Right. But they're doing profit. Like all of America came to help us. So it's not everybody that's bad, but it's these other, because this organization is led by some military people, is my understanding, so it's for profit. They know if they show up after a disaster, there's going to be profiteering in it, so
sounds to me like it's with them specifically. It's more ego than profit. Well, they want to be the big sheriff, right?
Well, that's you guys are touching on a point that gets to me, and I'm very skeptical on anything. I mean, I don't want to dip my toe in the water to help anybody anymore, because I got burned. You know how much I got burned. I mean, I lost a lot of money during all that, and I figured I was going to get it back. All I wanted to be was compensated for helping out, but I didn't even get that.
Not compensated, reimbursed.
What makes me mad is if we don't hold these people that ripped us off, or hold some of these shenanigans, if we don't hold them accountable, and like Stephanie was told, if some of these local officials don't get arrested or at least charged and put in front of a court, then it's going to happen again in the next natural disaster. Yep. I mean, we got to start holding people accountable.
That's right. I'm going to tell you, I believe the only thing that saved Yancey County was our sheriff. Our sheriff he is so good.
He was.
And
Yancey County Sheriff was awesome.
He is the bomb. I have more respect for him than I have of any government official at all ever. He is amazing, and he cares. He cares deeply. But a lot of other people have disappointed me at every level.
Yancey County Sheriff was getting on there, and he was quailing. There was a lot of disinformation, and I mean, just plain conspiracy theories going on. And the Yancey County Sheriff got on there and said, he said, this is what's true and this is what isn't. I'm here every day. I see.
Yeah. He is. And he was.
He ran all that crap in the bud really quick. I'm proud.
He did. He ran the bad guys out of here. He got us. He did everything exactly right. And I'm going to tell you, he didn't just do it right. He did it in the midst of his own family losing everything. His mom and daddy lost their house. His aunt and uncle lost his house. The grandma lost. I mean, everybody in his family their homes were completely gone. And he still took care of this county just like he took care of his family. I'm gonna tell you, he is my hero.
Well,
I don't have many.
Yeah, and Steph, you're going to be having him on your podcast here.
I hope so.
Soon, hopefully. He is, from everything you've told me about him, and I watched that little documentary that you posted on Rebuilding Hollers, the Facebook page that had him on there, And I was impressed.
He's amazing.
I'm looking forward to.
I'm so proud of him.
talking.
And he's a brand new sheriff. He's only been in like maybe 2 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he was amazing compared to. I was working with a lot of the county SAR coordinators, CSAR coordinators, and I was flabbergasted to the ones in Madison County up there where what's that the town just north of Asheville that got Marshall got wiped out, and the county the person that was in charge of doing all the search and rescue of coordinating all the civil the civil mobilization actually quit the next day. Said, this is too much for me. I quit.
Too much. Well, it was hard. And I want to tell you what else happened, that we don't talk about a lot are the TikTokers, right? The influencers. So Mitchell County had a real problem where this TikToker just showed up out of nowhere and was saying that the county and the sheriff's office was stealing generators, which was not the case. It was not the truth. So in the middle of the disaster, our sheriff in Mitchell County and our county commissioners are getting death threats because a TikToker went and posted this video of total crap. It's crazy. You can't tell the story enough of what we really dealt with the first 60 days of our disaster,
That's wild. Well, guys, we lost Chris. He blamed internet, the Wi-Fi refugees. He was having trouble with his internet, so we did lose Chris for the rest of the show.
We still had a great show.
But, we had a good show. Steph, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It was awesome. You are going to be at Fallout, yes?
I'll be there.
Hey, Steph, where can I donate again?
Rebuildinghollers.org.
There you go. Thank you.
And I'll
Or
cover
com. I got both.
the
I got the .com and the rebuildinghollers.org.
Fancy.
And please come. If you ever are in Western North Carolina, we have a ton of projects going. I would love to take you through our mountains. Any reporter or anybody that will come and explore the mountains with me has officially been farther than our governor. And so I'll be glad to show you everything that we're dealing with here if you do come to the mountains.
Awesome. Absolutely. So can people come and volunteer with you?
Yeah, they can come and volunteer.
What are they doing? Moving equipment around, actually building? What do you need?
We're building. We've got 4 houses coming out of the ground right now. Project 3, 8, 9, and 118. So those are full rebuilds. So we definitely need help there. And then we have others, a lot of roofs. I had 44 roofs that need to be replaced. I'm about halfway through those. I've got them replaced. So there's roofs, there's foundations.
So do you have to know anything? Like if somebody is watching and is like, man, I'd love to help, but I hit my thumb every time I try to drive a nail. Do you have use for?
So maybe they could help me fundraise. Maybe they could help share our story, to bring awareness to kind of what's going on. We do have a benefit rock concert going on at the end of July in Charleston. So that's really exciting. Nice. There's so many unique ways. I do want trade specific volunteers. And that is because, you can really screw up a home if you don't know what you're doing.
What do you need? Like, so what kind of, I don't know, just because we're here, right? We have the platform. Specifically, what are you looking for? Maybe that person might be watching.
So I definitely need framers. That would be great. Roofers are a huge one. We were generously donated 7 18-wheelers of shingles. So we've been able to meet a ton of the needs for the materials, but now I need roofers to install them. I have a crew. I've been paying to go out and do stuff, but we're this big, so I can't pay for everybody's roof today, right. So as I raise money selling t-shirts and hoodies, but we also need, if people had equipment, but fundraising is the biggest. I desperately need to keep my local contractors working, and they desperately want to work. So if the more money I can raise, I can pay them to go to my projects and put that family back right. And then we just move on to the next. So that's a huge way to help. And I know that's hard, but There was one organization called Charlotte IT. They did like a bike ride raising money, and they raised $20,000 for us.
Wow.
And that's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's 4 roofs. That pays for 4 roof replacements. That's 2 wells, or that's 4 septic tanks, or an entire lumber supply list for a rebuild. You know, so a lot of money can go a long way, or little money can go a long way when you're not corrupt. You know, if you actually do what you're saying.
Let me ask you a question, Stephanie. Are for these specific trades like framers and roofers,
HVAC, plumbing, electrical.
Yeah. Do they have to? Do they? The licenses in North Carolina don't reciprocate. So if you get a licensed contractor, they have to take another test to help you out.
Right. So it would need to be a licensed contractor in the state of North Carolina. But if they know what they're doing and can work under a local licensed contractor,
that's what I was going to ask. You have licensed general contractors that they can go under their license. Because I have some skills and I have a.
Y'all blow stuff up. I don't know.
No. He's got real skills.
I have some
boy over here. The boy can burn water. He can burn water.
Construction skills, and I have a Jewish slave that I can bring.
I love that.
He's talking about me, by the
way. Sue's background is very eclectic. He's done a lot of jobs other than just blowing shit up for the military. I can vouch for that listening to his stories over on Byron's channel. But again, Steph, thanks for being here with us tonight. I'll see you Friday night on yours.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
So what do you want to leave them with, Steph?
Don't forget about us. Don't forget about Western North Carolina. It is still so very bad here. We have so many families that desperately need help. And so I just ask that pretty please don't forget about us, because we're still doing. Please come to Western North Carolina, see for yourself, help us, come shop in our little stores, because the whole town is really struggling and we need people to come.
Now, after that,
Angery, what do you got for us, brother? Welcome back. Hopefully you'll be here for
I'm hoping next week I'm in
a
government training. So we'll see if I get off that next Wednesday evening or not. But I should be here for the next few weeks. So I hope so. I'm not gonna follow up what Stephanie said, because I want to leave it. I want to leave that for everybody to masticate on and go help out, because that's the real help. Go be an American. We all need to be good Americans to each other and go do the American thing and go help out. If there's a place closer, if you're closer to Texas, go help them if they need it, But we got to be good Americans to each other. Otherwise, the bad guys are the bad guys.
That's right. We'll take care of each other. Americans do. I'm very proud of Americans. Although a lot of people disappointed me, not Americans.
Yeah. Sue, what do you got?
I'm here to help. I will come up and help Stephanie. I was hoping to get a big job after this big beautiful bill passed. Had my resume out and I was waiting in the wind, but haven't got a phone call. So I'm kind of bored. So I think I'll go over and help Stephanie.
Come see me. Hey, there's a reason for everything. Don't ever doubt that. When one door closes, another one opens. So that means God's got something real exciting lined up.
Oh, the last thing Sue needs right now is exciting.
No heart attacks on me, Sue. I will freak out. I do not know any of that stuff.
I have a strong heart. I don't have any tolerance for Angery. So
yeah, you know how I kept this moron alive while he was having a heart attack. Well, first of all, we poured a bottle of aspirin in his mouth, made him chew it. Okay, everybody knows that trick. And then the rest of the way to the little medical center that we found in BFE, Arizona.
Winslow, Arizona.
Winslow's where we got to. Yeah, to get to the little medical thing. We were like 80 miles out of it towards somewhere else. Anyway, I had to punch him the whole way. I maxed out the governor on my then brand new truck, maxed it out at $1.15, and I was hitting him in the shoulder, going, "You better not die on me, old man. Don't shit the bed in my brand new truck." and that made him angry enough to where he lived through it. You're so irritating. God.
You sound just like you.
I know, right?
That's awesome.
Well, guys, once again, Steph, thanks for being here.
Y'all.
Emery, Stu, as always.
I'll see y'all soon.
We will see y'all next week. And hang out for a minute. The Emery, I need to talk to you after this. Folks in the audience, thanks for being here with us tonight. Chris sends his apologies as always for he's been good on the internet for a while and the going in and out like he used to when we first started this fiasco that we call the Angry Nation American Nation podcast.
FEMA's fault.
It's FEMA's fault? Sure, why not? Okay. We'll blame it on the other folks too. Why not? So other than that, folks, we'll see you guys next week. Chris will be back home, so we should have a Patreon and a podcast next week. Having said that, let me see if I can get this outro to run, and we're going to get on out of here.
See y'all later.